Are you planning a trip to Walt Disney World but can't decide where to stay? Should you go all in on the Disney magic on an on-site resort, or save some money and get some more space in an off-site villa? Tonight, we're diving into Ultimate Showdown Disney Resort versus Offsite Villa. We'll break down the costs, perks, and hidden fees to help you decide the best option for you. And of course, we want to hear from you. Where do you prefer to stay? Let us know in the chat. Welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I
go! Hello everybody, it's Wednesday. One of the best days of the week because it's now downhill from now to the weekend.
Downhill every day.
It's downhill every day.
Yeah.
But we're here. I'm looking forward to the Tonight Show. This is going to be good. How are you, Claire?
Going? It's going. It's been a busy one this week, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to the end of it. But it's all good. Are you okay?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm looking forward to tonight's show because I have a feeling we might end up spending some of our own money or other people's money.
No, it's always a possibility.
Not going to happen. That's it.
Are you sure? John, you said before we started that you've got some controversial topics coming up tonight.
Yeah, I have, because I've done some homework, and I think that's the nice thing about this. It actually allows you to do a little bit of looking, a little bit of digging into it, and actually, if you're in the chat at this moment, don't turn your computer, but do have a little look on your phone and try and see how much it would cost for your prime holiday in your prime location at Walt Disney World. Because actually, I was shocked. So that's all I'm going to say for now. Okay. I was shocked.
I've got visions of John spending 2 weeks at the Grand Floridian.
Yeah. No
once you won the Euro Millions on Prime.
No chance. There's more chance of me being at the Rosen Inn at the top of I Drive. I think that's more. That'd be more likely to happen than anything else. But we'll leave that until a bit later in the show, I think.
This show sort of follows on from one of our recent podcasts where we spoke about a lot about staying in villas, because I have to admit, for Becca and I, we've never stayed in a villa before. We've stayed at off-site hotels, but we've been bitten by the Disney bubble, and we've never really escaped it. During that show, there were so many times we mentioned about all of these sort of villas with more space.
Yeah,
that can give you a different holiday.
I think as well, Ben, and to avoid sort of, I think this is like a companion show to that whole podcast, because actually I think when we did the podcast, we actually went into quite a lot of detail about choosing the villa, and I know between Claire and I, we've both got a very long list as to why you would choose a villa and what you're looking for and such like, and I think certainly when I come to putting this, we had somebody contact us through the DIB where we list all of our podcasts, and they showed us all the different. They put a link to DIB villas as well. So what I will do is I will post this on the DIB for those people who choose DIB villas purely out of a possibility that they actually realise, because we didn't actually mention the fact that you can actually book a villa on there and things like that. However, we go back to all the usual bits about being careful, making sure it's a reputable place and it's a reputable person. And if you're in any way, shape or form unsure about villa, don't book it. Don't look somewhere else, because actually the warning signs are always there.
So after tonight's show, if you need to know more about villas, head back to that podcast, and I'll put it in the comments later on, so you can easily find it. But yeah,
definitely.
There's also been a lot of Disney news that's happened.
It's news time, Ben. Hang on, I need my paper.
I need your bits of paper. It's like
there
you got your glasses all ready to go. I love this moment of the week.
One of these weeks, someone's gonna do a Trevor McDonald bit from that Lenny Henry used to do with Tiswas, isn't it? It's gonna be, it's get the big massive glasses on.
I just did it. These are what I really wear, but they kind of work.
Coming on.
Section.
Yeah, well, first thing of the night, and this only happened a few hours ago. Marvel started live streaming on all of their social media channels.
Have they finished yet?
It's still going, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Every 15 minutes, and just another cast member was added to the list, and it seems like we're getting X-Men, Avengers into next film, Doomsday, which is out next year. And I think the reason that they've done it today is they've started filming today. It gets against all the leaks of like, oh, I've seen this person on set with.
They're just naming and shaming everyone.
It makes sense. I can't
Brilliant.
wait.
How old is Sir Patrick Stewart these days?
Oh,
he's not a young man.
Well, I'm interested how they're going to bring him back, because obviously in what was it, Doctor Strange, he didn't last very long.
No.
So John, I definitely know you're ready for the next Marvel news.
That's it. He's 84, in case anyone's...
Is he?
Yeah, 84.
Okay.
Birthday in July will be 85. There you go. Nuts.
Sean in the chat said he's 924. I think that's the number of Oscar nominations he's had.
Yeah, yes. I wouldn't mind until I actually heard that. I didn't realise he was in any of the Avengers stuff. So that's news. That's news in itself to me.
You know that emoji of the face palm moment. That's kind of that moment there.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in other news today, and slightly depressing for many of us that are going in August this year,
especially
Claire.
Competitive Claire.
I thought that was Jack Black when I first saw it. And I'm not happy at all.
I'm not sure. I'm going to go down this route, Ben, first, because actually, as much as I love Buzz Lightyear, it is well overdue.
It needs it.
But some of the film that Disney have released about what is going to replace it, and they've already trialed it. They've already, I actually feel as if it's going to just reinvigorate a very old ride, and it looks as if they've actually listened and they've actually taken stock of exactly what's there, and then use the technology that's available now, as opposed to what was available when it moved back from its previous incarnation.
I'm just hoping it closes at the end of August.
So do I.
I'm not unhappy about it being refurbed, and actually I'm quite excited by what they're planning to do and have the interactive targets and all of that. I think it'd be great. What I'm not happy about is it might be closed while we're there in August. Because that for me is it is one of my favourite attractions. And if I'm there early in the morning, if I get there for rope drop and I'm in the park at 8:30, I will often go to Buzz first, just because you can get 2 or 3 rounds on Buzz done before I enter the park. And it's just like, do you know what? It's just so much fun. It smells bad.
Yep. If they can fix it, I compare it to what mouse gear used to smell like.
Yeah, there's lots of things. I do quite like the sparkly floor. I hope they don't lose that in the queue line.
Or improve the animatronic of Buzz in the queue.
Well, it's not working at the moment. It's behind a curtain at the moment.
Again.
Yeah. But I absolutely concur. It needs a refurb. It needs to sort out. The guns don't work.
Well, it makes sense because they're changing those now for handheld blasters.
Yeah. So all of that good stuff, but I just don't want them to do it until after we've been in the summer.
Well, what I did like is that they're going to come in different colours. So what you shoot will look different. So you've got 2 guns in the car. They both shoot different colours, so you know who is going to be which one. Excellent. So it's an easier way of telling. Yeah. So
maxing out on both. See, that's the problem, that I need to be able to max out on both guns on my own before it closes for refurb. In this current iteration, I need to get Galactic Hero both guns in the car. And that's my challenge, is when I'm there in April.
It's the little things, isn't it? That's all it is.
Sean, how very dare you?
It's just a different way of. I have to admit, a lot of people do go for sort of the top tier attractions. But I'd rather go.
Sean is in no place. Right, he's in no place to talk, because while I'm riding Buzz and trying to max out on both guns, he's sitting in Chef Mickey's.
Chef Mickey's
so,
for breakfast.
Let's just be truthful here, that Sean has got no reason to taunt me.
I think that for me, that's just a waste of it. That's
but late August, beginning of September would be a good time for it to go down, I think, and then be back open for Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
2026.
I don't know how. But this is another thing. How many more attractions could they close in Magic Kingdom? Because we don't know about the riverboat.
There's so many things shut. Thunder Mountain's shut. You know.
Now, what's really scary here is actually, and I actually, I was thinking about this afternoon. Are Disney now going to blame a downturn in attendance for this summer on the fact that so much Magic Kingdom was shut, as opposed to what's happening up the road? As opposed to what's happening up the road, it makes a nice little different story to tell to the shareholders, etc. The other thing to bear in mind is that they've also announced today certain packages that are available. If you are going as a family, there's discounts. There's 50% off child tickets. There's also a 3-day 3-park ticket, which is at a lower rate.
They did that last summer.
And generally for the American audience in particular. But you can't use that ticket for Magic Kingdom.
No, they did exactly the same last summer. They did a 3-day 3-park ticket last summer. And actually, I guess, if you're only going for 4 days and Magic Kingdom is always going to attract people. That's the problem. And I think whilst they might not blame attractions being closed for lower footfall and lower guest numbers, they are taking advantage of the fact they're clearly expecting lower guest numbers by shutting down a bunch of attractions for refurb whilst everyone's up the road. I totally understand that, but I think it's a bit of a shame for the guests that are still going to Disney.
And they're going to get a lot of it is it's a shame that we've had quite a few years with not that much being refurbished. So it feels like everything's all happening at once.
I think it's just a rolling program. I think we all moan about it when things are a bit broken and a bit rubbish. And rides need refurb. I think they've had a busy couple of years. They know it's not going to be a busy summer in autumn. So why not smash on and get it done now? So that when everyone has been to Epic Universe and they're returning to Disney, they're getting a better experience. I kind of see the operational plan behind it. It would be nice if it wasn't all at the same time in the same park.
And
because I can't imagine they'll reduce the prices for Magic Kingdom based on that.
No, but also you're basically looking at a big chunk of Animal Kingdom being out of action as well. So we're talking about a significant amount of both of those two parks that are completely unavailable. And I also feel, because we've had the conversation as we got home tonight and thinking about August, is like, well, hang on, we've only paid a £10 deposit on Disney tickets for the summer. Is it worth just bypassing that altogether and then just let's go to the place up the road? Because actually, maybe it's just not going to happen this summer. That was shot down instantly, I hasten to add. But we had the conversation. We did have the discussion. It didn't last very long. No, and
I think that's the conversation lots of people are having. If everything's going to be shut, well, I think what will happen is that unfortunately Hollywood Studios and Epcot will be busier. And Test Track is due to open in the summer at some point, but we don't know when.
At Magic Kingdom, they have said that the parade is later this summer as well. So that when they say later this summer with a date to be confirmed, it's interesting. But they do have two shows opening at Hollywood Studios on the 27th of May. So
interesting timing.
Yes. Finally, we get the Little Mermaid musical adventure and the villain show.
Yeah, interesting timing. the week after Epic Universe opens.
Yep.
Memorial
Memorial Day weekend.
Could they be more desperate? Is what I'm going to say.
I'm just glad they're having live entertainment.
It's almost like Disney is standing at the end of World Drive going, "We're still open too."
You've seen like people like trying to work out, just having signs like along the road with like points like hot dog locations.
Yeah.
Just like someone
camping.
I've got a vision of that's what Disney going to be doing during the summer. Just on the I-4, like come to Disney.
Yeah.
Got Captain Hook out there waving.
It's getting to that stage though, isn't it? And I know we are so guilty every week of this, because actually what's fascinating is the fact that even now for Mardi Gras, Universal are getting in a different crowd, and they are absolutely packing it out. They're ready for this. They know they've got the beating of Disney, and I think
they are so ready.
I think there's only a few little inklings in the press at the moment where I don't think Disney are totally prepared for what is going to happen this year. And I think it will be fascinating. But it also, keep listening and keep watching, because actually I think this ties in a little bit with what we're going to discuss in the main part of the show tonight as well. I think the two things go hand in hand.
And talking of that, should we start off with our topic of Disney Resort versus Offsite Villa?
Is that the end of the news, Ben?
That is the end of the news. That's all the news I have.
The end of the news. That's it.
Yes.
Let's
talk about where we're staying.
Yeah.
Let's work out where we're staying, because I have to admit, this year I will be staying at Disney. Claire, are you going to be at Disney this year, or are you going to be Offsite?
Yes. Here's the response to that. So I'm staying in 3 places.
Okay.
We're staying at Universal for 3 nights. We're staying in Disney for 6 nights, and then we're staying in a villa for 8 nights. So yes.
John, have you decided yet?
This year we shall mostly be staying Offsite.
Yeah.
And actually and for a reason, I think we're going as 2 adults for the first time. We could actually go for what you perceive as being the cheaper option than just going for the hotel room and using a resort and things like that. And we then thought, no, because actually last year when we stayed in the villa, we had the joy of staying at Grand Floridian. We were at Orange Lake for a few nights. Absolutely brilliant. So we've got the spread of experience. And from the past, we've done 10 nights at the beach club and things like that. Yeah. You get that whole bit about what you want from your holiday. And actually, it still came back to money. And even if you're 2 people, it comes back to just choosing.
It makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is, everyone's trip is always going to come down to budget at the end of the day, and you've got to work out what you want to do as part of your holiday. If it means for us actually staying on site means that we're part of that bubble, so we get things like the early park entry, the free transportation to the parks, and the different resorts, because we've got our timeshare of Disney Vacation Club. We've got that opportunity to stay in deluxe resorts. But I have to admit, we've done several trips where we've stayed at value, and we've not had any issues staying at value resorts. I know, Claire, you stayed, was it last year at Pop Century for a few days? 3
nights I stayed at Pop.
And
I would stay at Pop again. I think it's lovely. It wouldn't be my first choice.
No.
And it's down for there's quite a lot of big, lengthy refurb at Pop at the moment, which I think is probably affecting noise and sight and all of that stuff significantly. Not before time. It definitely needed it. I'm hoping that they managed to do something to stop it look like a dodgy, concrete block from the Eastern European front at night, because it tends to look a little bit like that, particularly when the 70s and 90s sections where there's red lights outside the buildings. It doesn't. If you're approaching that at 10 o'clock at night, it doesn't look great.
I got visions of downtown Amsterdam and things like that. You know?
I would go slightly further east than that, to be honest with you. I'd go, somewhere towards Bosnia.
Yeah.
It doesn't look great. Whereas, the rooms are fine. The rooms are comfortable. The beds are good. Even the pull down Murphy bed is good. The rooms are plenty big enough for 2 adults and a child. 2 adults if you're, sharing a room. I think there are obviously nicer options, but I would say that, Morgan and I shared a room there and it was fine. Yeah.
And this is the thing. If you're going to spend a lot of day in the parks, pretty much, and all you need is somewhere just to sleep at night and shower, and that's staying at a value resort.
Was nice. The pool was fine. It was comfortable. There was a couple of options for pools, and there was noise. There was music playing. It was all good, and it was so much easier transportation wise. You get Skyliner. There was buses everywhere else. It was very convenient. It didn't feel like a massive resort that was too spread out to to walk and get your coffee in the morning or whatever. I think there are definite bonuses for being on site, so that you have to work at it to get your money's worth sometimes, to get those benefits. You do, if early entry is something that's included as a benefit, you have to get your backside out of bed and make the most of it. Otherwise, there's no point staying there.
You're paying for that perk that you're not getting. And it's like, if you want to spend extra and stay in a deluxe resort to get those extended evening hours, it's one of those things. Actually, is the cost of it worth it? Because I remember watching, I think it was Mammoth Club were doing a vlog, and they were staying at the at the deluxe villa to get, and it works out better value to spend upgrade from moderate to deluxe than it was to buy sort of Lightning Lane.
This is it,
because the amount of time you would get on the attractions actually made sense. You could do all of the attractions at Magic Kingdom in sort of those two hours in the evening, than you would if you'd spent it during the day.
But I think, if you're going to pay out for a Disney resort, whether that be value, moderate, or deluxe, you should work hard to use the benefits that are offered. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just pouring money away, really.
I think that's exactly the point. And actually, I've got a couple of different points within the year. So I'm looking at the last week in April, but looking at Pop. And looking at Pop or movies, but it ended up at £170 per night.
Yeah.
Now, when you take that into account, and again looking at maybe, I actually went a bit posh and went to somewhat offsite hotel, and just as a direct comparison, and you can get places around about £90 at the Hilton Vacation Cypress Point, which we've stayed at before, which again is based around the Hilton's own vacation club type thing. That was only £83 a night. And Orange Lake, where we stayed last year, is £130, including all taxes and fees. Because actually, if you're in some of these resorts, there can be hidden fees. Do be aware of that. Yeah. So you're talking of about a 50% uptake, and that's versus. That's basically looking at Pop and movies for that time. That's a big difference, as opposed to what you actually get when you're in sort of the Hilton or Orange Lake vacation places, which are actually, when you get into them, they actually are pretty luxurious once you're inside the actual villa. Once you're inside the actual hotel accommodation, which can vary depending on whichever block you end up in and stuff.
We once stayed at the DoubleTree by SeaWorld Hotel. We booked that through Virgin Holidays at the time, because if you booked through them, you didn't have to pay the resort fee. It was one of their partner hotels. It was included. But if you booked directly with the hotel, it was $25 per night for a resort fee. So it was just going to add extra onto it. And it's something that you don't realise if you hire a car, paying to park your car somewhere all the time. Sometimes now Disney, I remember a few years ago, did the same thing, but now they don't do that anymore. It's now free parking at your hotel when you're staying there.
Free.
Is that
free that you pay for? But it's one of those things.
Free, but it's out there from it's out there from the start. So I'll take that. But I think
included.
it's certainly not free, because actually,
Yeah.
I actually believe that this is. I'm trying to decide whether to launch into a rant now or just keep it going. But I'm gonna go with this, because actually Hannah's in the chat. Hannah's actually talking about staying in the villa, with her own pool, own hot tub, and like a 7-minute drive to Disney, right? I actually think that space and that privacy and the amount that it actually provides in a bigger holiday is worth every single penny. I really do. And again, trying to cost it. So you're looking at a place with a pool, for example. You go at Sunset Lakes, or the place we stayed at Encantada last year, are currently advertised for the end of April. Sunset Lakes is £150 a night, and that sleeps 10.
How much per night?
150.
And it sleeps 10.
And it sleeps 10. And then the one at Encantada sleeps 6, but it's £105 a night, and it's got its own pool. I'm not gone for anything more than that for the April dates, but it's fascinating to see when you put all of that together and compare Disney Hotel, Offsite Hotel, and then an Offsite Villa. The Offsite Villa, for me, offers greater flexibility, and yes, you do have to pay for a car, you do have to pay for parking, you do have to pay for, you're not going to get a drinks mug that you can go and reload wherever you want. But for me, that for me at the moment, appears to be the option that works, and doesn't matter if only 2 of you going. It works out cheaper. If there's 10 of you going and you stay,
it's even better value.
You're looking at that. I'm not quite sure. I've stayed at Sunset Lakes 2 or 3 times. I'm not quite sure you get 10 staying in one of those villas, but that might be with people on the sofa beds and this, that, the other beds, bunk beds, this, that, the other.
Yeah.
But the same with that, though, John, goes with the Disney Resort. When you look at some of them, say we sleep up to 5, and actually, when you look at them, it's like you've got 2 sort of queen
2 double beds and a pool.
And a Murphy. It's like it's not.
Yeah, the room itself, the footprint of the room is no bigger, so it's interestingly, I just pulled up the price for the Spring Hill Suites, which is a Marriott at Flamingo Crossing. Which is a really great location. So this is a suite which has got a kitchenette and a living area and a big double bed and a pull-out sofa bed. So it sleeps 4. And it's the Disney fireworks view. So it's a high floor and fireworks view of the Magic Kingdom.
Yep.
And that is coming out at $184 per night. So what's that? £155 per night.
Yeah.
So that's, yes, they do have transport to the parks, but you would probably want a car. An Uber's going to cost you $12 or something. But again, it's still significantly cheaper if you want to be in a hotel apartment rather than a villa. But,
and somewhere else, which it sounds really strange for mentioning this again, but actually Universal hotels, especially their value ones like Endless Summer, very good value, very good cost. We stayed there for 4 nights, and it cost us at the time £329.
Yeah,
and it was a really good deal. Obviously, the prices might be slightly more now because with Epic Universe opening, but actually it's still a good location. We at the time we were staying, we did Universal for 4 nights, and then we did Disney for 10. But
Sean, I like
$150 per night for 10 is so good for Disney maths. $15 a person, more expensive day at home with the heating on. I love that.
You're not wrong.
No.
Sean, the actual maths is absolutely spot on, because actually if you got $150 per night for 10, $15 per person, it is more expensive to stay at home with the heating on. And actually, you could probably chuck your flights in and you'd still be up on the deal, I think, as well. It's one of those, it's really bizarre when you start looking into the per person cost.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
And that again, probably, Claire, for you is something to bear in mind. You know, you're in that position of still traveling as a family. We're fortunate. We're dumping the kids this year for the first time ever. And actually, but it changes your perception of it all, because actually we thought that going to a villa was maybe not going to be something we could afford to do. Because actually when there's only two here, you're thinking, well, actually a hotel
price
room
per person is up, isn't it?
But it's still a massive difference. And I've been shocked at what I've found by this, and when you start writing it down, and I've deliberately kept to the values so far, because actually if I start talking about the moderates and I start talking about deluxe Disney hotels, my blood pressure would be off the roof because it goes into crazy money, and that's the bit that I just, again, when at the very start of the show, and I think this is the bit that Disney don't quite grasp at the moment. And I know fine well that they obviously have long-standing data to prove that this is the price that they should actually be having.
And people pay it.
Yeah, exactly. People will pay it, but I still think that during our time in August, we will be able to pick up a deluxe hotel room, even for just one night, at a much lower rate than you're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, of course.
Beach Club in August at the moment for one night is £551. You're just like, you're having a laugh with that. Really,
so we're staying at the beach club for 6 nights, and I haven't paid anything like that. And I am keeping an eye on when the annual pass rates come out.
I think they were announced earlier today. They were announced earlier today.
Okay, they're not on the app yet. I've checked tonight. They're out till the 31st of July currently. So the next section should be out. I was thinking it would be today, hopefully, with all the other announcements. So I will go and check the beach club and yacht club prices with an annual pass discount to see whether I can get a lower price than we're currently locked into.
Can I just ask them, because this might help people in the chat, might help people on podcasts. If you were booking a Disney hotel, who would you book through?
So I would use an annual pass discount in theory if I possibly could, and I would go. So I would book through the American website directly.
Yeah,
my annual pass. And that's what I've done before for Coronado Springs and Pop and stuff. I got 30%. I got what was it, 6 nights at Pop for £800 total.
No, that's a bargain. That's now we're talking.
Before 2020, I would always use the Disney Holidays website. Usually because at the time you had free dining or equivalent for 3 nights offer. I always found that was the best place to go. But then since then, I would look at whoever is the cheapest. So that would mean I would scour the internet looking at Expedia. We'd also booking.com, because sometimes you get when we stayed at All Star Music over Christmas, in the end it turned out we booked through at the time Becca had a blue light card, so we went through Disney Holidays and we got a 5% discount from that. And I think it was about £600 we paid for a week for Christmas. And
so there are discounts around.
There are discounts around, and if you've got access to those, but sometimes it is just when we booked the Universal stay for 4 nights, that was direct through Virgin Holidays as a hotel only booking, where it's really surprising what you can find.
I think we've just got a first tonight.
Hey, there you go.
I'm really excited. Hello, Robert.
Yeah, welcome to the show. And good to have someone from Toronto join us as well.
That's brilliant. I feel like I should be singing "Oh Canada."
Yeah,
but I don't know all the words. Where's Anna when you need her?
I was going to say that's going to be coming in a future podcast when we get around to Canada.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that could be next year or something.
Just for clarity for anyone who hasn't got a clue. Next month, we recorded next month's podcast. We're going to Epcot. We thought we'd get Epcot and World Showcase done probably in 1 show, maybe 2. No chance. We're going Great British Mickey Waffle styling. We might be finished by Christmas. So
Yeah.
2026.
It's going to be good though. It's going to be a worthwhile listen.
Yeah.
So just don't set your
Oh, it's
expectations.
brilliant.
Our
No,
Grand
it's-
World Showcase
it
are going to
is
get
so
very
good.
high.
Yeah, it's so good. I've got to say, and I think this is where a lot of people in the chat, Hannah again is in on this,
Yeah.
and looking at Disney hotel rates, and for me, I feel as if they've just missed this.
They've missed the point.
You know,
See,
I feel that-
I have a hunch, I have a thought on this, and something that didn't actually appear in the news, but I just remembered it. In Canada Pavilion, there's a new Disney Vacation Club section that's open that's going to be opening,
yeah.
where you're going to be able to have a tour of the Polynesian rooms.
That's because they listened to our show last week when
Is
we
that
talked
going to be
about
the
DVC.
bit in between the poutine stand, the refreshment port, and the?
They've been doing quite a bit of work recently, and I think it's. But yeah, so there's going to be a Welcome Home Disney Vacation Club Centre.
Okay.
But going back to my point was that the reason why I think hotel prices are so expensive is if you make deluxe resorts expensive, but actually Disney Vacation Club's a cheaper way to look at those hotels, people are going to think that they're getting better value for money. So they're pushing them into a 40-year contract.
Or I was going to say that I think yes, that, but also if you make the deluxe resorts expensive, because there are some people that will always pay it regardless.
Yeah.
What you're doing is pushing people who might have looked at a moderate and ended up staying at a value. They're looking at the deluxe resorts and going, well, that's crazy. I'll look at the moderate. So you're actually bumping everyone up a category almost, because who doesn't want to look at a deluxe resort? Of course, everyone wants to stay in a deluxe resort. I don't know anyone that go, oh, I'm going for free. Please put me in, all-star movies rather than the Poly. No one's going to say that, are they? So, I mean, I'm sure there is someone who loves all-star movies. It's not me. Whereas if I was looking, I would look at, if I was going for the cheapest option, I would go, right, let's look at the value and then let's do a comparison to moderate. If you're then making deluxe seems so far a stretch away, it makes the moderates look comparatively cheap. So then you go, well, actually, do you know what? It's only $40 a night more to stay at the moderates. Well, per night. If you're staying 14 nights, that's quite a lot of money, but you're not necessarily thinking, because you're going, well, the deluxe is 200. So Disney Math says I'm saving 160 if I don't stay at the deluxe,
And if you've got free dining, and you always get the better option at starting at a moderate resort, so you're pushing
and you can bump it up
to
So I think there is some really clever. I mean, the sales psychology that goes behind this.
I think that's exactly what it is. It's all in the psychology.
Incredibly clever.
Yeah.
And I think that Disney probably put a lot of money into their marketing and advertising teams in terms of sales psychology. It'd be fascinating to really break it down and look at what they do. I'd love to have an expert on the show who could talk about it, because I think we're making guesses around it, but I'm just wondering if there's anyone who's a friend of the show that actually looks at that stuff. It'd be fascinating.
The other one to bear in mind as well, I know we touched upon it when we did the DVC show, is the fact that, and I was reminded of this when I saw my mate when we went to the football, and he said he's actually done the renting of points bit to stay in a Disney hotel at a much lesser rate than it costs. So again, I know we're going back on previous shows. This seems a really brilliant show. Yeah, we're bringing together so many different things that we've spoken about recently.
John, I'm going to share my screen so we can actually work out if this works. Hopefully people can see that. This is a cost calculator for DVC, so you can choose to rent. So you can actually work out if we choose, I don't know, let's choose a week end of... John, what were your dates that you chose for your...
You do 26th of April for a week.
I just did from the 20, is it whatever last week in April was, and finishing whatever in May. Yeah,
so that's the week that I'm there. So obviously it'll be far more expensive because everyone's going, what's to be
Can I just point out as well, Ben, I never knew you had that there. And actually, that's how intuitive we can be on a Wednesday night, is actually when you say something off the top of your head and then you've actually got the screen, and I'm quite impressed with that.
What I do like about
No one
this
else.
website is that you can
I'm going
actually
now.
see the occupancy. So you can actually see on what room type, you
Yeah.
can see how many people you can have in that room. So obviously you can go, you stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge, you can get a grand villa where you can sleep up to 12.
Yes, please.
But then
Whoa.
actually when you look at the cost of that,
It does
that is
sound nice, though.
$15,000.
That's for the week. That's
That's
for
for the week.
7 nights. That's not per night.
So if you do a resort view at
Have
Animal
we
Kingdom,
still got the tumbleweed?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, grief. Oh, my word.
$15,000.
that one.
Yeah.
Dear me. That is.
It feels a bit like Austin Powers' $1 million moment. It's
Good
so
grief.
But what you can do, if we go also look at those dates on Disney's website. So was it 26th of April? 7 nights.
7 nights.
In a hotel. Let's compare the deluxe villas. Let's hope we don't have a switch moment.
Breaks.
Okay. So here we go. So there's only 3 available. So you have Saratoga Springs, which is £3,586. So I'm guessing that would be a studio.
Yeah.
It's 1 bedroom.
Oh, okay.
1 bedroom. So let's have a look. Saratoga Springs. 1 bedroom, $4,340. So what would that be?
For a week.
Yeah.
So it's $620 a night.
So £3,366.
Pounds. Comparison to
$4,340.
And what was it?
So
what was it on the Disney website? Was 3,700 and something.
3,600. So there's only £200 difference in it, but it is a little bit of a saving. There are some times when you look at
you won't get the same. You won't get the same freebies, will you? Because if you go through the Disney website, you get Resort Mug and get Memory Maker, etc. Because actually, when you're renting DVC, you don't get any of the other stuff.
But you wouldn't get Resort Mug if you're staying at Disney Hotel anyway, unless you got the dining plan.
Right. Okay. That's fine. I'm just trying to get this clear because actually last week I had it straight in my head that I was buying DVC. You know.
I know. You actually.
And then
you just need to buy a villa. That's the answer.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly it. I think it's crazy money. I actually feel really uncomfortable.
See, I'm interested to see
So much.
if you look at Universal Hotel for that same week.
Yeah.
What can we see? What's available? So hotels. It's quite interesting to do this, so you can see
It's possibly not a fair reflection because Epic hasn't opened yet either.
No, that's true.
So it'd probably be a little bit of a downtime. I'd expect it to be. I would think it would be pretty reasonably priced.
So if you're looking at their entry level value sort of resort dockside, it is £778. If we then look at a deluxe hotel, so
again, so there you go. Let's go for the comparison there. So £110 a night versus £175 a night at Pop, all Star Movies.
Where have we got? Let's go for Royal Pacific. That's a deluxe resort because you do get express passes included.
Yeah.
What would you get on those days?
Need a drum roll.
This is where that's Terra Luna. Okay, Royal Pacific would be starting from £325 a night, which would be $2,273 for 7 nights.
Okay.
And I've just had a quick look at some villas.
Yep.
So the same week, and this is a 4-bedroom villa in Legacy Park, so down towards the US 27. It's a south-facing villa booked with. This is via Debbie's Villas, which is a UK company. South-facing pool with a hot tub and a spa, with a heated pool, and that comes out at $1,112 for the week, which works out at £1,112 for the week, which works out £158 a night.
Okay.
And it sleeps 8.
Yeah. That's villas from the cost perspective seem to be the winner.
Yeah, and the other thing as well, though, Ben, I think it's worth mentioning to people as well. I know where Legacy Park is. It's not a place I would choose to
No,
go
I just
personally. However, when you start looking at like Debbie's Villas and you look at Verbo and you look at there are other places you can go and find a villa, you can then put in a filter as to what you actually want and whether or not. Yeah, and again, then look at Google Map. Look at exactly which direction the pool's facing. The actual villa option for me becomes a no-brainer. And and again, I moved it along a little bit. I was really selfish because I went from that week in April and went to look at what the pricing would be for August, thinking, well, that's prime time for people from the UK. Now, the pricing we've talked about already, when you come to August, it's still very, very similar. Maybe another 10, 15 pound a night either way on hotels and on villas as well, because it's August and it's obviously busier and it's further away. I think the discounts for the end of April are quite high at the moment, purely the fact that they know it's only a month away, and then there are discounts available purely on the fact that there's availability. But comparison wise, and I'm thinking of it, and we were fussy. I do not deny that we are not the best people to actually try and rent a villa, because last year we ended up with actually a lovely, lovely villa in Encantada, which Robin and Simon had recommended, and Claire didn't like because it had the
pine kitchen,
which never bothers us at all. However, the one thing it didn't have, which would have been on my list of things of must-haves, is a hot tub, which is heated separately from the pool.
Yeah.
Now, this for this year, we found a place. One, it does have the hot tub option, but the tub is actually part of the pool, but heated separately. So you've still got a cooler pool, which is solar heated, but you've got a hot tub, which has got its own heat, but they don't charge you for that because that's included in the daily charge. Some places, and you go to villas, they will charge you. And you need to be really careful if you want pool heat.
They're quite variable, the charges as well. They can be reasonable. They can be unreasonable.
It's a bit like when you're looking at an offsite hotel. It's majority of the ones like Disney Springs area hotels all have about $15 to $25 resort fee.
Yeah.
So
I just found a different villa in Indian Creek, which is actually one that we stayed at with my brother 2 or 3 years ago.
There you go. What's it called?
And it has come out as a 5-bedroom villa, sleeps 10 people. And that is coming out for that week in April at £220. It's £1,580 for the villa. It's £225 a night for 10 people. So again, you're back down at £22.50 per person if you've got all 10. And that's a 6-7 minute drive to the parking lot of Animal Kingdom. It's really very close.
I've just updated the Disney search, and I've got a week in August, first week of August, for 7 nights. So I've chosen all hotels here. So they range from sort of just under £1,000 for All-Star all the way up to, which for a week didn't seem terrible.
There's usually
what I thought for middle of August or first week of August, I was really surprised. But then you can see the difference between sort of value resort, modern resort,
and there's quite a big jump.
And then it's like Saratoga for 2,200.
And that's for a week, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that point there at Saratoga then translates into what, £300 a night?
Yeah. So for me, the useful comparison is like Saratoga or Royal Key West versus a villa. That's my because those would be the places I would choose.
For that same time, I just got, while Ben's getting this up, I'm just going to go through. So All-Star Movies, about £170 £170 a night.
Mm.
Caribbean Beach, 292. Animal Kingdom Lodge, because I really fancy staying there, but at £460 a night, it's no go. The Grand Floridian, strangely enough, since we don't have cast member discount this year, which made it affordable last year with Josh, it's coming up for a one-night stay at £730.
Wow.
I think I'll just give that a little bit of a budget. I think that's exactly it, and just make use of the monorail and just go in and soak it up.
Yeah. I've just looked at that Saratoga stay for 2,200.
Yeah.
If you were to book it through DVC rental, you're looking at 1,600. So there is a saving.
There is a saving.
Yeah.
Like £500 if you want to. John, what was that one night you were looking at in Grand Floridian? I'm just very interested to see how much
Ben's going to try and find you.
I'm interested.
£730. See if you can beat that on
what day?
DVC points. It was just during that first week in August.
Okay, so
because I actually gave him a chance. I went for an averaging of rather than picking a specific date. I did a stay for 10 nights and then just divided by 10.
Yeah.
Just purely
$414.
Oh, hey,
that sounds more attractive.
Now we're talking. There we go. That might be the way of doing it.
So £320.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of money. I mean, we used DVC points when we stayed at Vero Beach in last October.
Yeah.
And it was definitely, Vero is one of those places you can't really stay unless you're DVC. So renting the points was the easiest way to do it. And we definitely saved a lot of money. And so, I think renting points, I was a bit anxious about it, but it did work out fine. It was very straightforward. It was a lovely thing. So I just I had a quick look at some villa costs for October, thinking of the other peak times where UK travellers go. So I looked at the 18th of October, which is a Saturday for 7 nights. And Ben, while you're pulling that up on the Disney website, I found some different places a bit closer. So there's a villa at Emerald Island, which is obviously relatively close off the 192.
I've always fancied staying there.
Sounds nice, doesn't it?
It's one of those places that it's in exactly the right place, location-wise, but it's just even if you stay at Sunset,
got a lovely archway to drive.
Yeah, you just drive past it and you're like,
yeah,
I'd really love to stay there. It's on the list.
Some of the villas are slightly older style, but they're still really nice. And that is a 4-bedroom villa. It sleeps 8, and it's a configuration of 2 double rooms, 2 twin rooms, and it's got 3 bathrooms. Barbecue is included, which your grill cost is included, which is good. And it worked out at £1,199 for the week. And the pool heating was a further £147. So without the pool heating, it worked out £171 per night.
Yeah.
So then split that by 8 people if you've got 8 people staying there. So it is a really good price. And I think Sean has said in the chat, on the other hand, you've got to add in car hire and Uber fares and parking charges. And that's the bit that you have to do your maths. If you're going to get an Uber every day, you can work out how much that's going to be. You can look on the app and just be prepared for the time hiking of prices, because it does happen. Or you can pick up a car, a hire car for not. If you do John's trick and book it through a company where you can cancel and rebook when the price changes.
I saved £50 last night.
Oh, there we are.
I think I've saved 150 since we.
That will get you 2 beers in Jock Lindsay's.
Yeah.
But
and I'll enjoy them rather than hurt getting me money.
Yeah.
You do kind of have to have that commitment, and I think we said this in the podcast. If you're going to accept that you're going to do the research and you're going to find the best price for you, so decide how many people are going, what your party looks like. Can you all stay in a room together? That's my first question, is can I live in a room with the people in my party for the next 5, 6, 7 nights, 2 nights, 1 night? That's my first question when I'm thinking about it, because actually, yes, with Dan and Millie, we can all stay in one room. If Morgan's there, no, we can't. So then that automatically you're paying out the price for Disney hotel room twice. End of. And but at that point, the price, the comparison price, even for one room, is extortionate compared to a villa. When you start putting in 2 rooms, it's just a no go. Doesn't matter whether it's value or deluxe, it's still a no. So I think about your party and who is traveling, because actually that should make a decision much easier. We tend to at that point look at a villa every time, and even some of I looked at villas that I would stay at, and if you've listened to the previous podcast where we talked about it, I have a very long list of places. So I only priced up places that I would consider staying at. And the most expensive one I found for October that I thought was nice was actually, well, it wasn't the most expensive. The nicest one I found was on Verbo, and it was a 5-bedroom property in Windsor Hills that sleeps 12 people. So it was 3 double bedrooms and 2 twin bedrooms, and it worked out at £1,320 total for the 7 nights, which is 180. I haven't got my glasses on. Bear with. £188 per night for 12 people.
And this is the thing. It's all about working out what sort of holiday you want and where you choose to spend your money. If you want to spend a week in a deluxe resort like the Grand Floridian, do it. I wouldn't say not to. If that's
right.
What makes your dream holiday, you would do it.
Yeah,
And that's the bit. It's what makes your trip, important. What are the things that are important to you? And for me, not killing the people that I'm traveling with is usually relatively near the top.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that, and I actually, that is the biggest thing.
Yeah,
because actually, and as much, and I know Sean mentioned in the chat earlier about being at the beach club for 10 nights in 2019, a cost that they paid. We did 10 nights at the yacht club. We got a cracking deal on it, and even to this day, I still do not know how we paid as little as we did at yacht club for 10 nights. But do you know something? By the time those 10 nights were done, we were so glad to get out of the bubble, because actually, as much as you love your family, 10 nights is just,
when you're together 24 hours a day
in a hotel room, is just pushing it a little bit for my,
with 1 bathroom, even if it's split and there's 2 sinks, it's still a lot. Some people can do it. I can't.
I can't either, Claire, and I actually feel that was a bit even for ourselves. And this is the bizarre thing about looking at maybe even at offsite hotels, because you're cutting the cost. So you're looking at August and you're trying to think, well, maybe we could stay somewhere and we just stay in a hotel room, and but no, because actually the bits that we want is that bit. You've got your own fridge, you've got your own freezer, you've got the amenities within a villa to wash your own clothes. You've then got the ability to go home and not then have to do all the washing.
Spend day one doing all your washing.
Yeah, and little bits like that really matter, because actually you end up just chilling that bit more, and I think that for me is a really, really important thing. The whole bit about having time to just absorb it and just take time for yourself, because what is really important is the fact that you go home and you feel relaxed, rather than you go home and you feel as if you need a holiday, because actually you spent 2 weeks walking every single day. You spent 2 weeks just in this little bubble as a family, and you suddenly you maybe want to strangle each other. I think
there is something about, I'm trying to think about when we were there last year, we had our villa, and there was a couple of days where I just didn't want to be talking to people, and actually sitting outside with a cup of coffee for a couple of hours in the morning. I put, I think I listened to Radio 2 on Sounds app or something, ridiculous like that. And, there was nobody else about.
Yeah.
And actually in a hotel, it doesn't matter if it's on-site, off-site, how expensive or how cheap it is.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that. You're not going to get any sort of solitude unless you're, Ben and Becca trying to make it over to Steakhouse 71 at 6:30 in the morning.
Yes.
It's really difficult to find private space, quiet space in any of those locations. Whereas if that is something that's important to you, if you're an introvert and you recharge your batteries by having some time on your own in the quiet, then actually having a villa or a rental property, whether that be a villa or a condo or whatever that looks like, that may actually work better for you, because the sensory overload that you experience for the rest of the day can really exhaust you, actually. So for me, sometimes it's a case of actually I just need to be somewhere quiet. I need to not have noise and lights and sounds and smells and everything. I just want some time, me and a cup of coffee in the morning, just to process things. I much prefer that than having to fight through 5 people to get to fill my mug up in.
I think some of the older style Disney DVC resorts, like we said at Old Key West first time last year, it was amazing just to be able to have a balcony, and it was just so different to any other resort we've stayed at.
You know how much I love Old Key West.
I remember you sending us that. Where was it you stayed that you sent us that video of? I couldn't believe you got such a massive balcony and just that whole ability. That was prime stuff, And just pick up on what Hannah said as well in the chat. And again, being careful. I think we did mention this in the podcast, but when you're booking a villa, do be careful. Do your homework. Look at Google Maps. Look at the actual Google pictures that are there, because actually, staying at one at Sunset Lakes that had been to before and advertised a hot tub, but it was missing from the lanai, and that's the other thing as well, because that's my favorite go-to bit when you come out of it after a park day, to just be able to sit, have a beer, sit in the hot tub, and just chill.
Yes.
And just and then you find that your calves and your knees are not quite as old as they were making on having done a long day in the park,
And then you look at your watch and realise you've done like 30,000 steps, and you go, now I know why I ate.
That's exactly it, Ben. It's great. And I know a lot of people. I've said this ever since we started doing this. Is a lot of people come back from a Disney holiday and they say, "Oh, I put so much weight on." I come back from a Disney holiday in absolute peak
physical fitness.
I'm
right.
absolutely on point.
And it's that first week back where it just nosed on.
When you're eating all your Walmart snacks that you brought back. I've got to get through these Oreos before they go off. All the ranch, the ranch Pringles and
the goldfish.
All of that stuff. You're like, I've got to eat it before it goes off. I can't bring it back and then not eat it. So you're like hoovering up the,
all that candy from the Halloween party.
I think
I take it to work and give it away.
I think we've still got some left somewhere in our house.
That's not going to work for me this year. I'm now working from home. It's just going to be me.
You've no one to blame it on. That's it. You'll just eat it yourself.
I think that there is so many options. And I say we're doing a 3 location stay this summer. And I am intrigued to see which works out best. We're staying in a standard hotel room for about 2 of them, but different, one in Universal, one in Disney. And then the villa that we stayed in last year, which is 3 of us, but it's a 5-bedroom villa. Because I like it.
It's a beautiful villa, Claire.
It wasn't expensive. That's the thing. It worked out significantly cheaper than either of the hotels we're staying in. Perfect.
So we've considered a villa before COVID a few times, but every time we did the maths for us at the time, I didn't have a car, so the car wasn't really an option at the time. But now it might be an option. So if there's any time that we run out of DVC points and we want to book another trip,
or that you want to hold
Do
on to
something.
DVC points for the
Right.
following year. You know, you want to go, well,
Yeah.
actually next year we're going to stay
Go pay like
the
Tower
14
or-
night,
yeah.
or the Grand, or we're going to, you know, Copper Creek,
Yeah.
nice, you know, 3-bedroom or whatever. You could do that, but this year we might need to do something off-site and a bit cheaper. And you know, I think it does create. I think people are scared to stay off-site because it doesn't. You know, you don't get the extra hours. Yes, you're going to have to get yourself there and back. You're going to have to potentially, you know, pay for your parking or your Uber or whatever that looks like. And there's this assumption that you don't feel the magic in the same way. And actually, I think you do.
Yeah.
I really think it doesn't matter.
I totally agree with that.
It's
Claire.
your
I think-
holiday. You do it the way
I
you
think
want.
you
You
come a
create the
bit-
magic by.
I think you come a bit Mickey blind after a while, if that makes sense. If you're staying on site, you don't. There's so much Disney magic and so many characters and things around you all the time. I say that sense, you know, sensory overload in terms of light, sound, music, you know, all the things that are happening. It almost, for me, and I can only talk from my experience, it almost becomes a bit of a blur and I don't notice it.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm staying off site and I'm arriving on property, I get to go onto that sign every day. And that whole thing that I'm arriving into Disney is a new, fresh experience every single day.
Yeah.
And I quite like that. And, you know, I think that's probably why I like places like Clandestino and Oki West, because they don't have that kind of
They don't scream Disney.
Yeah, there isn't this constant assault of
I-
characters and Disney in my face, which, you know, I think if you're 6 years old, you might not agree with me. But as an adult who enjoys going and goes frequently, that for me is something that I want to keep for the parks almost.
But I would flip that and actually take my family back to when they were like 6, or I think they were 6 and 3 at the time when we stayed off site for the first time, and they still remember that trip, and they remember it for the right reasons. They remember it for the fact that it was truly magical, and you don't have to be within this sort of so-called bubble. The bubble is bigger than anyone wants, you know. Then you could be staying at the top end of Champions Gate. I know we've not said it tonight, but if you actually move that little bit further out, the cost per night of those villas, and I haven't included that in my homework, because actually the podcast we actually probably went down the line of you want to be as close as you can. But if you go that 20-minute, 25-minute, half an hour drive away from Disney, you can cut that per night cost down massively, but actually you're in a much more modern villa with more amenities, etc. And that for me it excites me, going to actually stay somewhere that's better than where I live. I'm going to somewhere that's got a pool, it's got a hot tub, it's got just
Better
like
weather.
the most incredible amenities within the villa, and you're just like, this is just like, this is luxury in itself. So it's about, and I think you said at the very start of the show, Ben, it's about making the holiday that you want it. But I actually think that cost-wise, and I really hadn't thought about this to the extent until we've done this show of just the difference of where being off-site and in a villa. Even now, and I think the prices have gone up significantly.
They definitely have.
But even now, the price differential is still, you know, for me is one where I just like, I like that little drop into Publix or Target or Walmart on the way out of the park.
Or Kiki's, or
and just like you
Miller's, or
stop for food, then go back to the villa, and it becomes a whole different experience, and it becomes a much richer experience because you actually you're eating off site, so that again, that's cheaper as well. Just saying,
and you've got more choice.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, you just feel as if you're more in touch with proper kind of Orlando people and proper Orlando kind of traditions and things like that.
Mm.
Whereas when you're on site, it basically becomes an encased kind of.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
I know
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
It's a bit like watching the Truman Show. It's the only way I can say you're in that little dome, and everything is kind of controlled. As to, if you drop rubbish, someone will come pick it up after you.
If they could control the weather, they would.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that kind of like Teletubby sunshine every day.
Yeah.
I think,
but it's the right temperature for everything to work the way they want it to.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with John, and I think that, you know, I just want to make it really clear to anyone who's watching or listening, we have zero affiliation with any villa companies that we've mentioned or hotels. You know, yes, Portwood Travel are a friend of the show and they will do you a quote. We have nothing to do with that. It's not something we support them because they're friends who've always listened. But we have no kickbacks from any villa companies or anything like that. So this is genuinely our personal opinion. And it varies. You know, Ben and Becca have a different experience and a different view to John and to me. And I think if we were to ask each person in the chat, they would also have a different view. And I think it's about what matters to you and what your experience would, your ideal experience and what you can pay for. Yeah. I just like getting good value for money. Yeah. And for me, that's the important bit.
I would say more recently, since we've been back since COVID, that our holidays now are very different to what they used to be. So I remember last year we did not step into Animal Kingdom or Hollywood Studios. And
I'm not sure I agree with that.
Controversial. Look at that.
But I have to admit,
an hour and 11 minutes into the show and they comes out with the controversial.
It's made me so excited to go back in August and spend so much time in Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom. And apparently that might be the right choice because everything at Magic Kingdom is open. I'm going to the parks that's got stuff open, so Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
But our holidays have changed, and I don't ever regret that we bought into DVC when we did. It's given us some amazing holidays, but I have to admit, sometimes I get to that point where when we're booking and looking at different resorts, sometimes I go like, maybe we should stay off-site. If we don't have... But we have to then think like, no, we've paid for our timeshare, so we need to work out like where are we staying, and then. But actually, if we need to save some points, like you said, Claire, we'll book a villa. We will look into it, and actually that will
help you.
Yeah, there's so many options, and I think that's the minefield of a villa compared to when you look on Disney's website. You've got 13 hotels, a few different room types, and it's easy just to work out. Sort of value, moderate, deluxe, which one you go for.
Yeah.
So
I also think as well, Ben, I think that comes in if you're looking for August, Disney aren't daft, right? Because they will release certain hotel rooms at a certain rate. Yeah. And once a bit like imagine you're flying with Ryanair, they've got so many full price tickets that they need to sell.
Yep. To be able to pay, have
but
20
they will.
pound.
But Disney will basically sell the expensive rooms first for the people who know that they want to be there in the middle of August. At the very last minute, and this is again, it'd be interesting to come back to this later in the year and talk about certainly about the options that you've had, Claire, and then looking again at Ben and Becca's holiday day, and then looking to see whether. Do you get a last minute hotel room at a crazy price? Because we're prepared to just hold on and just say, well, if something crops up, then we'll take it.
That's the thing, you know. If the hotel room you get is empty, it's better to get 50 quid for it than to get nothing.
Yeah,
and that's the difference when hotel rooms tend to get cheaper the closer to the date travel that you're going.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously on an airplane. It's the opposite because the planes go in anyway. If it's half empty, it's not costing them any more money because the crew has to be the same and the plane is still going. It's still going to have three flight crew and it's still going to have the same number of stewards. So if they've got empty seats, it doesn't make any difference to them. Whereas, hotels, if they can make any money from an empty room, that's a better option.
They will do,
yeah.
And again, if you're in the chat or you're listening on the podcast and you've got maybe a go-to website and things like that,
Tell us.
share
I want to know.
share it with everyone. Share it with everyone, because actually that's as important as anything else, because you get stuck with your go-to places, you know, and there are others out there, and
we are happy for you to share your ideas and your
share them. Come and
Yeah.
get in the Waffler's arms, share where your go-to places are, because actually, it is a little bit of insider knowledge in a lot of cases, because not every hotel group drops into Expedia or drops into Booking.com or Travel Republic, which we used last year, which was good. But we know that each of them get a different drop of hotels, and they get a different discount on the go as well.
Yeah, with that last year, when we booked our Universal stay, we booked it through Travel Republic, because even direct to Universal, it wasn't available. And it was just they had it claimed at a good price, and it's who's got it left, and we probably booked that 6 weeks out.
Yeah, I think the other thing is that some hotel groups, if you sign up for their rewards scheme, usually costs you absolutely nothing other than 5 minutes to fill in an online form. You can get cheaper deals. So things like Marriott, Hilton Rewards, all of those honours points. If you just sign up, yes, you're going to get an email. It tends to go to junk anyway. Or open up a new email just for that, and your restaurant discounts as well.
Another couple to add in there is like Radisson and Doubletree as well.
Right, that's by Hilton. So Doubletree by Hilton, all of those things. If you sign up for their rewards, you'll earn points and it costs you nothing. You'll also get a discounted member rate often. So there are ways to save a few extra pounds as well. It's not going to cost you anything other than 5 minutes of your time.
I've really enjoyed tonight's show. I now want to start looking at villas.
I'm going to go and look at whether the annual pass prices have come out for the Disney August.
I'm actually going to go back and listen to the whole of the podcast, because actually that start of the month podcast, I still think it if you've listened to us tonight, it kind of adds an awful lot of meat onto the bone of what we've actually been discussing. And if you're interested in a villa and you want to take that little bit of it is a leap of faith, and I openly admit that, because actually if you only ever stayed on site, coming off site is a completely different experience. It's a wonderful experience, but you need to just convince yourself. We stayed off site from the start, so it was never an issue for us. Going on site was for us was just like a completely different experience, but then we had to come back away again as well. So it works in a variety of ways. It's been a good show.
I feel like I'm overdue an off-site stay at some point.
I think you are. I actually think you are, Ben. And I think I really would love to know what you and Becca make of it, because I think you would feel a lot more of a freedom. And actually, if you didn't have a Disney ticket, there's so much to do. If you're in that Orlando area, you can go to the beach for a day.
That's a whole other show, John.
Yeah,
it is. See, look,
watch this space.
Yeah, but there's loads of stuff that you can do, and for me that is the bit where when you're on site, you feel pressurized into actually staying there, and actually not seeking anything else, and the whole of Florida is such an amazing place, and it's well worth exploring.
Yeah.
He says with his wilderness explorer badge on.
Right. I am just going to ask. I know that we're out of time, but Robert, our Canadian friend who's joined us this evening, has asked which our favourite Disney movie is. So I think we should finish with just a quick fire. Quick fire.
Quick fire.
Quick fire.
We do quick fire.
Quick fire is under an hour, isn't it? I don't know. John, do you want to go first?
Because I'm the movie buff amongst everybody.
I'm hoping John says a Marvel film.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm actually going. I think I was asked this on Matt and Crystal's.
Yeah, I think they did ask you that.
And I went for Jungle Book, which I surprised myself because it came off the top of my head. But again, when you're asked Under Pressure, it's the one and it's the go-to, and it will be the original one, not the remake.
No. Well,
just for clarity, like.
I'm
What
gonna
about
go
you guys?
The Lion King, 1994
Hey, good
animation.
call.
Yeah,
The
the one that the Disneyland Paris attraction is going to be themed after.
What you mean,
Yeah.
Splash Mountain?
Yeah,
The Splash.
The Splash with lions.
Yes.
Coming soon to a Magic Kingdom near Orlando.
And for me, if we're talking animated movies, I'm going to go Tangled because I love Maximus so much.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I love that.
Cool.
There you are, Robert. Quick fire answer for your question. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
So huge thank you to everyone in the chat for joining us. And if you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to click the like button. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. So anytime that we do go live, anything we post on our YouTube channel, you will find us there. So this show will also go out on Friday as a podcast. So you can find us on your podcast platform of choice, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or apparently a lot of people now just listen to podcasts straight on YouTube. So
Yeah,
which is
really,
for everyone.
really nice. And if you got this far into this week's podcast, can we just apologise for last Friday's first version of the podcast,
Gremlins.
which
that was my favourite film. But
That was our shortest podcast ever.
12 seconds, and it was just like, I'm like, oh my word.
Yeah.
So if you listen through, thank you for your patience last Friday. You got the whole show eventually, but yeah. Even after doing this for nearly 6 years, the Gremlins got us.
And I am super excited about the show that's coming out on the 1st of April. So less than a week to go. Well, we mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
We recorded it Monday.
Hot off the press. See, this is where I'm my Edson's complete. I
know, I hadn't realised it's next week.
How long was January? I'm like, we're now in March. March is gone in the blink of an eye.
Nearly
April. I'm thinking of May already.
Next week.
Yeah. Next Tuesday, the new show. And
wow.
I just if you like Epcot, make sure you listen to it.
Yes. It's a very good show.
It's a celebration of World Showcase. I think
you've got a minute and a half.
Yes.
That's exactly how it feels, Claire.
Yeah, we definitely took longer than a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. It was good.
Yeah, I think there's just one thing to say. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you real soon.
Now my wheel